Hello everybody, my name is Raxef and welcome to This Week in Warcraft for the week of December 5th. I hope you all had a great time exploring Antorus last week, and we've got a ton of information to cover this week, so let's jump into the video. First of all, we have our weekly Mythic Plus affixes, which are Raging, Volcanic, and Tyrannical. Raging causes non-boss enemies to enrage when they get to low health, causing them to deal double damage until they are defeated. What this means is that you're really not going to want to AoE mobs down for this particular week. Instead, you're going to want to do a single target focus, making sure you get an enemy down, particularly when they're at low health, and then focusing on the next enemy, because they deal normal damage when they're at full health or above low health. It's when they get down to low health that they start dealing that double damage. So you'll be fine just taking your time, slowly focusing down one enemy, particularly once again when they are at low health. You're going to want to make sure that you use your various execute abilities in order to get them down as quickly as possible. Volcanic is actually pretty simple. All it means is that volcanoes will literally be spawning under you, and you just need to watch out for the animation, or you'll be taking a bunch of damage. The animation when you see these volcanoes is pretty obvious, so you just gotta watch your feet, watch where you're standing, whether you're melee or you're a caster, just keep an eye on the floor. If you see that animation start under you, just move off to the side. Also be mindful that volcanoes will be spawning that aren't necessarily onto you, so you might not even have to move. This affix is one of the easier ones to deal with. And lastly, Tyrannical will cause bosses to have more health and deal 15% more damage. This means that when you approach boss mechanics, they do need to be done properly or members of your party will fall. So whether that's interrupting bosses or positioning yourself correctly in the encounter room, really pay attention to those boss mechanics so that your healer doesn't freak out, so that your tank doesn't freak out, and that you can down the boss in a timely manner. So whether that's timing your cooldowns appropriately or really just taking another look at that dungeon journal before you pull the boss, it's always a good idea to make sure that you have those boss mechanics down pat so that you don't cause your group to wipe. Overall, this should be a pretty easy week. Like I mentioned earlier, Volcanic is a really easy affix to deal with. The Raging affix can be problematic, but as long as you prioritize single target damaging and your healer is on top of healing the tank and the DPS are on top of interrupting any enraged trash mobs, you really shouldn't have that much of a problem. When it comes to Tyrannical, like I said before, you just got to focus on doing your mechanics properly and focus on having good positioning so that when the mechanics come out, you don't get hit by them. Other than that, things should be pretty good to go, so make sure you complete that Mythic Plus level 15 keystone in order to get the highest level of loot possible when your chest spawns the following week. Next up, Mythic Antorus will be starting today. That also means that the first wing of LFR will be opening. Personally, I'm excited for both events because with LFR, you get some people into the raid who necessarily might not be accustomed to raiding, they might be new to raiding and they want to check it out, and also it will just give us another opportunity to get some AP if you're still trying to level up your artifact weapons. Also, for the Mythic side, that's where I spend most of my time. I'm really excited to start progression with my guild, as I'm sure many others are as well. I'm also going to be keeping an eye on the World First race. I'm very interested to see how exactly these Mythic bosses will be handled. I'm very curious to see what exactly happens in Coven on Mythic, because I feel like that is going to be one of the so-called gatekeeper bosses. Coven of Shavara, rather, will be one to certainly pay attention to, and I'm very excited to see what guild comes out on top. I'm hoping, of course, for a Team US guild, but I know that it'll probably end up being someone in some guild in Europe, but we're just going to kind of have to see. Fingers crossed, though, for Team USA. The Cataclysm Timewalking dungeon event will also be starting this week. You should have saved up plenty of Time Warp badges from the World of Warcraft 13th anniversary, but if you haven't, you have plenty of time to go through some Timewalking dungeons and get those seals up so you can purchase a couple of the toys and interesting things that you can get from the Time Warped badge vendor. Also, keep in mind that there is a rare mount that drops during this event in Cataclysm Timewalking dungeons. Those are the Reigns of the Infinite Time Reaver. Personally, I've not collected this mount yet, so I'm certainly going to be trying to get that. And also, don't forget to pick up your quest, where when you complete 5 Timewalking dungeons, you'll get a cache of treasures as well as a bonus Seal of Fate. It's going to be really important with Antorus just having been released. A lot of new loot is out there just waiting to be picked up, and of course, we have Mythic dropping as well, like I mentioned earlier, so you're going to want to get every chance possible if you're going for that Mythic loot in order to get your bonus rolls. The Darkmoon Faire event is continuing on this week, so be sure to down the Death Metal Knight from the Blightbore concert in order to get a chance at some of those rare transmog items. Some people might also still be farming tickets in order to get the Darkmoon Dirigible. I'm certainly in that group because I've really not been taking the Darkmoon ticket farming as seriously as I could have, and I really want to get that mount. I'm hoping I should have it done by the end of this week, but I might need to wait another month just to make sure I have enough tickets. I will be linking a guide to the Darkmoon Faire in the description down below, so be sure to check that out if you want to get a full idea of what exactly there is to do in the Darkmoon Faire. And lastly, in an event that's not necessarily related to World of Warcraft live servers, World of Warcraft patch 7.3.5 has dropped on the PTR. Now, I know not everybody is interested in downloading the PTR test client, but if you are open to it, I would certainly recommend it, particularly if you're not too sensitive to spoilers, because there's been a ton of new stuff that's been dropped on the PTR. I did cover some of it last week in terms of the new allied races. I'll be linking to that video up above, but there's also some other cool things that have been added to the world, including some changes to various areas, some new quest lines that aren't necessarily in the game yet. So if you're perhaps a little bit curious about what's to come in the future and you really want to kind of explore a bit deeper, maybe you're a bit bored with what's currently going on in the game, I would definitely recommend that you check out the 7.3.5 PTR patch. I'm going to be linking to the related site in the description down below as well. And if you decide to check out the PTR, let me know what your experiences are, because for me, I just like to go and check out what kind of new content there is a little bit early so I can prep for any videos that I might be planning. I know some people will do it to, say, test for raid bosses, whether they're just interested in normal or heroic or mythic raid testing. There's, you know, everybody has different reasons why they do the PTR. So if you're one of those people who's new to the PTR as of this video, or if you've been going on the PTR for a long time, let me know in the comment section down below. And that's going to do it for today's video. If you liked it, then of course give it a thumbs up. If you have anything to say, if perhaps you're still trying to get those transmog items from the Blightbore concert from the Darkmoon Faire, or if you're still trying to grind out those Darkmoon Faire tickets, then leave me a comment in the description down below. I'm always here to listen. If you need to vent about anything, I will happily take all of your complaints. And if you like my channel and you want to keep up to date with the videos that I'm posting, then of course feel free to subscribe. With that being said, I hope to see you guys in the next video. See you later! 내가 내